You know Baby Kavanaugh?
15 old actors that really should retire, right now. Some legends know when to walk away. Others keep working long past the point where their presence elevates a project. Iconic actors appearing in direct-to-streaming disasters. Oscar winners taking roles written for performers half their age. Stars whose recent filmography reads like a warning about career management. These are 15 old actors that really should retire right now. Number 15, Clint Eastwood. At 93, Eastwood remains Hollywood's oldest working director star. His directing career produced Unforgiven, Million Dollar Baby, and Gran Torino, films that justified his legendary status. But his recent output shows a filmmaker increasingly out of touch with both audiences and critical standards, stubbornly continuing despite clear creative decline. Cry Macho arrived in 2021 with Eastwood, then 91, playing a former rodeo star hired to retrieve a young boy from Mexico. The role required physicality and romantic appeal Eastwood couldn't provide. It earned 31% on Rotten Tomatoes and grossed just $16 million worldwide against a $33 million budget. The Mule before it performed better financially, but featured the uncomfortable spectacle of an 88-year-old Eastwood in scenes with women 60 years younger. Richard Jewell and the 1517 to Paris received mixed to negative reception. His directing remains technically competent, but the material choices and his insistence on casting himself in age-inappropriate roles have become painful to watch. He's earned the right to retire with dignity.
Dad, it's your choice. Let Red go.
Number 14, Dustin Hoffman. 2 Oscars: The Graduate, Rain Man, Midnight Cowboy, Kramer vs. Kramer. For 3 decades, Hoffman represented American acting excellence, disappearing into complex characters with technical precision. Then harassment allegations surfaced in 2017, and his already slowing career essentially stopped, with rare subsequent appearances feeling more obligatory than inspired. Since the allegations, multiple women accused him of inappropriate behavior spanning decades, Hoffman's worked sporadically, as They Made Us premiered at Tribeca in 2022 to minimal response. His supporting role earned polite reviews, nothing more. Before Me Too, his choices had already declined. The Cobbler and Bourgeois were poorly received failures. At 86, Hoffman appears occasionally in prestige projects trading on his legacy, but the energy and commitment that defined his peak have vanished. Interviews show a man defensive about his past, uncomfortable with contemporary standards. The industry has largely moved on. His continued presence feels like watching someone who doesn't understand his moment has passed, seeking validation from an industry that's fundamentally changed.
Who is that, Captain?
It's Peter Pan.
Number 13, Samuel L. Jackson, the most prolific actor in Hollywood history, over 170 film credits. Pulp Fiction made him a star at 46, and he's worked essentially non-stop since. The problem isn't that Jackson can't act, it's that he's utterly indiscriminate, appearing in anything offered regardless of quality, diluting his brand to near meaninglessness. Between 2020 and 2023 alone, Jackson appeared in 20 films. The quality ranged from Marvel prestige to unwatchable garbage. The Protégé, Damaged, Samaritan, forgettable action films where Jackson delivered variations of the same performance. He reportedly earns 10 to 20 million for major franchises while taking smaller fees for projects he can shoot in days. The Marvel films keep him culturally relevant, but they're buried among direct-to-streaming thrillers that nobody watches. At 75, Jackson shows no signs of slowing, recently signing for more Marvel projects. His work ethic is admirable. The lack of quality control is not. He's become the actor equivalent of fast food, ubiquitous, consistent, ultimately forgettable.
Freeze, you diseased rhinoceros pizzle.
Number 12, Michael Douglas, Wall. Street, Fatal Attraction, Basic Instinct. Douglas spent the 80s and 90s as Hollywood's go-to for complex, morally compromised characters. The intelligence and sexuality he brought to roles made him a star. His recent decision to play a supporting character in superhero films represents a puzzling surrender of dignity for an actor of his stature. The Ant-Man franchise cast Douglas as Hank Pym, providing exposition while younger actors handled action. Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania grossed $476 million in 2023, but Douglas's role amounted to standing around explaining plot mechanics. At 79, he's playing a character that requires nothing of his abilities beyond showing up and reading lines. Between Marvel appearances, the Kominsky method on Netflix earned praise but limited viewership. Behind Her Eyes was instantly forgotten. Douglas has acknowledged working primarily for fun at this stage, which explains the choices without excusing them. Andy? Actor who once commanded romantic leads and complex dramatic roles, now plays the elderly mentor in films aimed at teenagers. It's steady work. It's also been Number 11. Anthony Hopkins. 2 Oscars. Silence of the Lambs created one of cinema's most iconic villains. Remains of the Day, Nixon, The Father, performances of extraordinary depth. At 86, Hopkins mixes occasional prestige work with truly baffling direct-to-video choices that suggest either financial desperation or complete indifference to legacy. The Father in 2020 earned Hopkins his 2nd Oscar, proving his abilities remain extraordinary when material warrants it. But between prestige projects, Hopkins appears in garbage. Zero Contact shot entirely on Zoom during COVID and premiered to brutal reviews. Rebel Moon for Netflix was critically savaged. The virtuoso went directly to streaming without fanfare. Hopkins reportedly shoots many of these roles in single days, collecting fees while providing minimal effort. At his age, the prestige projects arrive rarely. The direct-to-video work fills the gaps, creating a bizarre filmography where Oscar-winning performances sit alongside films that go unwatched. He's earned the right to be selective. Instead, he takes everything. Before we get to the top 10, which actor surprised you most? Think they're working for love or money? Drop a comment and let us know where you're watching from.
But it was you who caught me. Wasn't it, Will? Do you know how you did it?
Number 10. Diane Keaton. Annie Hall won her an Oscar. The Godfather trilogy, Manhattan. Something's gotta give. For 40 years, Keaton balanced romantic comedy with serious drama. Then she became trapped in a specific type of romantic comedy hell, playing variants of the same neurotic character in increasingly terrible films aimed at audiences that barely exist. Book Club premiered in 2018, featuring Keaton, Jane Fonda, and Candice Bergen reading 50 Shades of Grey. It grossed $92 million, enough to justify a sequel. Book Club, the next chapter, arrived in 2023 to 29% on Rotten Tomatoes and $30 million gross. Between them, Palms, a geriatric cheerleading comedy that bombed spectacularly. Love, Weddings, and Other Disasters went straight to video. At 78, Keaton's still playing the quirky romantic lead in films that mistake eccentricity for personality. The stammering, the neurotic gestures, the trademark style. It's all there, repeated endlessly in scripts that offer nothing new. She deserves better. Audiences deserve better. But she keeps making the same film over and over, chasing an audience that's long since moved on.
And I promise I'm not asking because I'm pregnant.
Yes. Hell yes, I'll marry you. I'll marry you right now.
Number 9. Kevin Costner. Dances with Wolves, Field of Dreams, The Untouchables. Costner was the leading man of the late 80s and early 90s, embodying American decency and heroism. Recent years have brought a vanity project disaster and messy television exit that suggest an actor unable to recognize his diminished position. Horizon, an American saga, premiered at Cannes 2024 to mixed reviews and disastrous box office. Costner self-financed the project to the tune of $38 million of his own money, planning 4 films. The first grossed just $31 million domestically. The second film's release was canceled indefinitely. Critics found it bloated and self-indulgent. Meanwhile, his exit from Yellowstone after 5 seasons became contentious, with reports of scheduling conflicts and disputes with producers. At 69, Costner's betting everything on a Western epic nobody asked for while burning bridges on his only recent hit. The confidence that once served him has become delusion, backing projects the industry doesn't want and audiences won't watch.
The people.
Yeah.
Number 8. Sigourney Weaver. The Alien franchise made her an icon. Gorillas in the Mist earned an Oscar nomination. For 30 years, Weaver proved a woman could anchor major franchises while delivering serious dramatic work. Now, at 74, she's essentially waiting between Avatar sequels with little else justifying her continued presence. Avatar, The Way of Water, grossed over $2 billion in 2022, but Weaver's role as Kiri, a teenage Na'vi achieved through performance capture, raised eyebrows. She's contracted for 3 more sequels, meaning she'll be playing a teenager into her 80s. Between Avatar films, The Good House premiered to limited release and minimal attention. Master Gardener played festivals. Called Jane went straight to streaming. Her last significant non-Avatar role was the Ghostbusters reboot in 2016. At this stage, Weaver's career consists entirely of Avatar obligations and occasional prestige cameos that go largely unwatched. The roles that made her legendary, tough, competent, complex women, have dried up entirely. She's working, but it's hard to argue the work matters.
Are you okay?
I was doing that thing again, wasn't I?
Number 7. Tommy Lee Jones. The Fugitive won him an Oscar. No Country for Old Men, Coal Miner's Daughter, JFK. Performances of fierce intelligence and controlled intensity. Now 77, Jones has spent the last decade playing variations of grumpy old man in films that mistake his scowl for actual character development. The Burial premiered on Amazon in 2023. Jones played a funeral home owner in a Jamie Foxx vehicle that earned decent reviews but minimal viewership. Before that, Ad Astra featured him briefly as an astronaut father. The Homesman showed directorial ambition, but found no audience. Mostly, Jones appears in supporting roles in films nobody sees, playing stern authority figures who glower and deliver blunt observations. Just Getting Started, a 2017 comedy opposite Morgan Freeman, managed 0% on Rotten Tomatoes. At this point, Jones seems to work primarily out of boredom, accepting roles that require little beyond his presence and willingness to look disapproving. The intensity that once felt dangerous now reads as elderly crankiness. He's become a character actor playing himself.
Fiddle staff.
Okay, we're gonna start right there. I want phone taps. We're gonna start with his lawyer first.
Whoa, 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 you're never gonna get that.
Number 6. Helen Mirren. The Queen won her an Oscar. Prime Suspect revolutionized television. For decades, Mirren represented class and intelligence, choosing roles that challenged both her and audiences. Then she started appearing in Fast and Furious films and bizarre action vehicles that treat her presence as ironic novelty. Fast X arrived in 2023 with Mirren as a getaway driver, continuing a subplot from F9 that nobody asked for. The franchise casts Mirren as winking self-parody, the dignified British actress doing car stunts. It's meant to be fun. It feels desperate. At 78, she's also appeared in Shazam, Fury of the Gods as a villain, Winchester as a haunted mansion owner, and numerous other projects trading on her reputation while offering nothing worthy of it. The prestige work still arrives occasionally. 1923 for Paramount Plus showcases her dramatic abilities, but it's buried among superhero sequels and action films where her presence is the joke. She's claimed to enjoy these roles, which makes the choices more baffling. An actress of her caliber shouldn't be comic relief. Before we get to the top 5, which decline bothered you most? Should actors go out on top? Drop a comment and let us know where you're watching from.
I'm a painter. Might even get you to pose.
Pose?
Know what a model is?
Number 5. Ben Kingsley. Gandhi won him an Oscar. Schindler's List, Sexy Beast, House of Sand and Fog. Performances of extraordinary range. Then, something broke. Between 2010 and 2024, Kingsley appeared in over 50 films, most of them unwatchable direct-to-video exercises that exploit his name recognition while offering nothing artistically. Night of the Sicario, Prisoners of the Ghostland, AI Rising. Titles barely distinguishable from one another. The sheer volume is staggering. Kingsley appears in 5 to 7 films annually, most shooting in weeks with minimal budgets. He said yes to nearly everything: video game adaptations, cheap thrillers, faith-based projects, anything that pays. At 80, he's still working at this pace, recently appearing in Dallyland to minimal response. The prestige work has essentially stopped. What remains is an actor once capable of transformative performances, now delivering exposition in films that premiere to streaming platforms without publicity. The descension from Gandhi to this represents one of the most dramatic quality drops in film history.
Doing things, no two ways about it, in the street that a man shouldn't do.
Next.
And then...
Number 4. Richard Gere. Pretty Woman, Chicago, American Gigolo. Gere was the thinking woman's leading man, balancing mainstream appeal with occasional artistic ambition. Then his star faded, his choices grew stranger, and his attempts at relevance became increasingly desperate before he essentially disappeared from American cinema. Maybe I Do premiered in 2023 with Gere, Diane Keaton, Susan Sarandon, and William H. Macy in a romantic comedy that earned 31% on Rotten Tomatoes and grossed $3 million domestically. Before that, Gere had effectively relocated to European productions, appearing in BBC series and Italian films that never found American distribution. Motherless Brooklyn in 2019 gave him a supporting role. The Dinner bombed in 2017. At 74, Gere's essentially retired from Hollywood without formally announcing it. working sporadically in projects Americans never see. His activism overshadows his acting now. When he does appear, it's in films marketed on nostalgia for what he represented, rather than what he currently offers. The romantic appeal has faded. The roles have vanished. He's working, but nobody's watching.
What's your name?
Edward?
Edward. That's my favorite name in the whole world.
No.
Number 3, John Malkovich. Being John Malkovich, dangerous liaisons in the line of fire. Malkovich brought strange intensity to complex villains and eccentrics, creating memorable characters through sheer force of weird commitment. His recent career consists almost entirely of bizarre direct-to-video films that suggest complete indifference to quality or reputation. Since 2015, Malkovich has appeared in approximately 40 films. Most went unwatched: Mind Cage, The Commando, Seneca. On the creation of earthquakes, he plays villains, mentors, and authority figures in films that shoot quickly for international markets. The performances are professional, but utterly without passion. At 70, Malkovich appears to work constantly while caring not at all about the material. Interviews suggest he finds most acting boring, which explains the disengagement visible on screen. The intelligence that made him compelling has curdled into barely concealed contempt for the work itself. He's also directing theater and working on art projects, treating film as a paycheck between actual interests. The strategy makes financial sense. It's destroyed his filmography completely.
$2,000?
Number 2, William Shatner. Star Trek made him a cultural icon. T.J. Hooker kept him employed through the 80s. Boston Legal proved he could act when material warranted. At 93, Shatner is still desperately seeking relevance through any avenue available, unable or unwilling to accept. Retirement despite age making most work impossible. Senior Moment premiered in 2021 with Shatner as a romantic lead opposite Gene Smart. He was 90. The film went directly to video. In 2021, he also became the oldest person in space via Blue Origin, an achievement he immediately turned into content: documentary, book, interviews. He hosts The Unexplained on History Channel, narrating conspiracy theories. He appears at conventions, delivers spoken word albums, tweets constantly. At 93, the desperation for attention is palpable. The acting work has mostly stopped. Nobody will cast him in actual roles, but he's found adjacent platforms that keep him visible. It's simultaneously admirable and sad, watching an icon unable to gracefully exit, clinging instead to relevance through increasingly marginal appearances. He's claimed he'll work until death. It shows. Number 1, Mickey Rourke. The wrestler in 2008 represented one of cinema's great comebacks. After years in Hollywood, exile, Rourke delivered a performance of such raw vulnerability that it earned an Oscar nomination and seemingly resurrected his career. Then he immediately descended back into the direct-to-video hell he'd escaped, making worse choices than before his comeback. Between 2009 and 2024, Rourke appeared in over 30 films. Almost none received theatrical release. Nightwalk, Adverse, Karate Man, Section 8. Interchangeable action films where Rourke plays grizzled criminals or mentors in productions shot in weeks. His face, ravaged by boxing injuries and plastic surgery, has become almost unrecognizable. At 71, he's still taking these roles, delivering slurred dialogue in films nobody watches. Iron Man 2 gave him a Marvel villain, but even that led nowhere. The wrestler should have been a second act. Instead, it was a brief interruption in a long descent. Directors who've worked with him report difficulty, unprofessionalism, physical limitations, but the films keep coming. Released quietly to streaming platforms, each one further proof that the comeback was temporary. The tragedy isn't that he fell once, it's that he clawed his way back only to fall again, harder.
You're smiling at me.
Smiling at you.